My name is Chris Mejia. I'm the director of the Food and Retail Operations Lab at MIT Center for Transportation and Logistics, and I'm also the director of the MIT Scale Latin America Network. That is a network composed of 35 recognized universities in Latin America and the Caribbean. Well, today I was invited by Bayron Vehicles to discuss a little bit the importance and the connection between the UAM and also logistics and supply chain management. I would say that first of all, this is a very promising future because it's basically something that I would call like an unexplored or uncharted terrain that in my opinion may become a gold mine in the short term. The main reasons are many different ones, but I probably will list a few of them. The first one is related to the fact that logistics and supply chain distribution strategies have been exacerbating and in my opinion are reaching like a tipping point worldwide, not only in emerging markets. And this is due to the growing, like e-commerce, due to the COVID-19 crisis, the digital transformation and many other things. But this is also making harder to accommodate a larger number of vehicles, especially the ones that are in the ground or the traditional, like distribution systems in an already saturated street system, especially the ones in emerging markets that, as you know, they suffer of poor infrastructure, the lack of proper regulations, and I would say as well, a growing fragmented retail market or landscape because of what we call the nano stores or the mom and pop stores that are spread all over the cities. So in those terms, I think that air deliveries, not directly to the nano stores, but to some of the very ports that Bayron Vehicles is configuring, will be a tremendous future, especially because air deliveries are thriving right now in a world where the densification is the most important part. And this will continue rising, So at the end, we have on the one hand, consumers that are more demanding, especially in terms of speed, and they want their packages as soon as possible. And on the other hand, we also need to run high performance and cost-effective supply chains. So I see that this might be something very interesting. On the other hand, I would say that also the drone deliveries are unfortunately not sufficient to create economies of scale. And in that sense, we need to start looking for hybrid models of mobility of passengers and freight at the same time. And I really think that the flying vehicles that are being created by Bayron Vehicles would be something very nice to configure. And they will provide like a more robust business model in a collaborative system. So the second point probably is related to create zero emission or carbon neutral alternatives to transport all of these packages and all of this freight. In Latin America, there is a huge need on something that I will call to supplement the 4-wheel, 3-wheel, and 2-wheel systems, So all of these in-ground systems are a little bit saturated, as I mentioned in the first point, but actually the number of pilots that have been experiencing in Latin America is growing in order to explore deliveries through e-cargo vehicles. So these are increasing. And they aim to configure something that I will call a long-term sustainable delivery strategy that will reduce COX, SOX, NOx emissions, and also particle matter. I think that is extremely important because now it's not only about the emissions, but also about our health. So configuring this type of model through UAM could be also a very good process. And even better, if we are able to, let's say, reinject these energy alternatives into the grid or into the system. So that's the second point. The third point is actually related to promote the freight urban air mobility, especially of essential goods, because something that we need to guarantee, and I think that the COVID-19 crisis has exacerbated that, is we need to guarantee accessibility, availability and affordability of these essential goods. And unfortunately, most of the systems that exist now only are concentrated to serve immediately to non-vulnerable population segments. So perhaps this new idea with the UAM through Bayron Vehicles, we can configure like a wider system that is going to be probably neighborhood-based logistics and configure the last yard delivery distribution strategies, not to deliver directly to the doorsteps of the consumers, but through the vertiports that might serve as pickup points or, on the other hand, drop-off points, and will help e-commerce companies to actually send or submit ship donations from the government or the food banks, etc., and many other manufacturers in order to increase the availability of those products to the markets, especially the vulnerable population segments. This is the 4th point, and I think that probably is the last one, is related to how we can use the UAM systems to motivate the use of these flying cars as an emerging and probably forward-looking ride-sharing system. Why a ride-sharing system would be important for all the populations? Because maybe they want to have access to a certain type of product. And not only that, maybe they would like to have access to a certain service, for example, transporting them from one point A to one point B, whatever it is, because of an emergency and they need to go to the hospital, or they need to go to the, I don't know, perhaps to the airport or to any other location in the city. So something that I would emphasize there is that a proper configuration has to be implemented in order to guarantee that the network design behind the vertiports is going to work properly. So in other words, if I think about this, they need to be strategically spaced in order to create significance and coverage of each type of service and product that you want to deliver. There for different kinds of services, different kinds of products, and also the multiple segments of customers that that this project wants to attend, right? So last but not least, I would like to emphasize quickly like the potential challenges that exist on this. And the first one is related to safety. That's something that has to be guaranteed on your side. And I'm not an expert on that. That's why I won't comment on this. The second one is autonomy, especially related to the battery, and the configuration needs to be like sufficient to develop several trips of this kind. And also the possibility to connect like with other disciplines. I would emphasize that one because I really think that the power of connection of this UAM strategy and this UAM project would be tremendously benefited if you are able to connect different disciplines: geography, logistics, supply chain management, and many others, even urban planning, in order to define like a clear roadmap of the strategies and the different stages that you want to tackle. But definitely the challenges are there. I think that all of you need to work together in order to configure like a better logistics for the cities, as my colleagues from the Megacity Logistics Lab will tell you. And well, I will be happy to be part of this project as well. So good luck, and well, hopefully this open a little bit your mind in order to know what is the potential of connecting this futuristic idea or forward-looking idea to logistics supply chain management, not only from a strategic point of view, but also from a neighborhood perspective. Because as you already listened from me, the neighborhood markets, the retailers, the food systems require a lot of this configuration as well. And especially vulnerable population segments that represent around 65% of the world's population, they need to have access somehow to this type of alternatives as well. And you need to find a way to create value also for those population segments. That's pretty much it. So it was a pleasure. My name is Chris Mejia, and